Good morning, happy Tuesday, and should I just cut to the chase and say that Hot Ones came back yesterday already? Um, I mean, I was legit ready to do a reaction to who this week's guest was, and I'm on YouTube just, looking for something to watch, and Hot Ones already came out with the first episode of season 30. Okay, technically, it's a special episode that was sponsored by Tums, where they had James Howard, I believe. Hold on. Or was it Jim Howard? Why am I blanking on his name? Hold on. Oh, hold on. See, this is how unexpected it was. I already forgot who the guest was. Of course. Because I am very dumb. Okay. Oh, Tim Howard. Okay, Tim Howard. Alright. He was, yes, yesterday's Hot Ones, yes. Even though I'm sure we're going to, but again, technically this wasn't season 30 because they used the hot sauce lineup for season 29. But, you know what? The season officially ended, over a month ago. This is the first episode of season 30. I'm calling it right here. Because, honestly, that's really how it should work anyway. So I guess the unexpectedness was kind of a low for me. I mean, it was great. I got to watch it. Of course, which is part of my high. Of course, the other part of my high is it was a beautiful day out yesterday, and it's going to be a beautiful day out today, too. Seriously, it's supposed to be like in the high 80s. Sweet. And, what's my act of kindness? Well, I held the door for some people yesterday. What else did I do? I also was about to grab a shopping cart, but I noticed there was somebody behind me. So I'm like, you know what? They can take the shopping cart I'm about to grab, and I'll just grab the shopping cart after that one. So, yeah, so I gave someone my shopping cart. So, Tim Howard, one of the greatest, goalkeepers of all time, arguably the best goalkeeper of all time in soccer. U.S. men's national soccer team icon. I mean, this was actually every time I think, there's someone I want, I never think to want to have athletes as guests on Hot Ones. I don't know why either. I don't have a problem with athletes at all. We've had, Kevin Durant, Saquon Barkley, Joel Embiid, Kevin Love, Steph Curry. We've had plenty of athletes on Hot Ones in the past. Granted, most of them are all basketball players. Sauce Gardner, that's another football player who's been on Hot Ones before. But not very often you get to see soccer. And there have been some soccer players too. Shoot. I forgot, did Hot Ones ever have David Beckham on it? Yes, okay, they did have David Beckham. Alright. Sorry, it's been a while since wow, that episode was over a year ago? Wow. Okay. But with apparently the big tournaments. Wait, is the World Cup this year? Is the World Cup this year? Let me look this up. Uh, oh, okay. Because throughout the episode, Sean was mentioning that there's a big soccer tournament coming up, and obviously the only one off the top of my head I could think of was the World Cup. I'm like, is that happening? No, it's legit happening this year. It starts June 11th. All right. Neat. I'm sure that, I mean, listen, the soccer is the number one sport in the world. It is. You know, and for actually a lot of good reasons. Because, virtually anybody can play it. It doesn't really take much to, it doesn't really cost much in the way of money to play. Just like a soccer ball for actually, how much does a soccer ball go for? Hold on. I swear I'm going to get to the Hot Ones episode, and man, I just have a bunch of questions on my mind. How much is a soccer ball? Okay, a typical soccer ball costs between $10 and $60 depending on size, brand, and quality. Okay, so virtually everybody's going to be, entry level recreational, so yeah, 10 to 20 bucks. See, popular brands like Adidas or Wilson are like $25 to $40. And high quality match balls or professional grade balls range from 50 to 60 or more. Okay, so yeah, pretty much you're pretty much paying somewhere between $10 and $20 just to be able to play. And between a few people, that's like nothing. Again, so everybody can play it. It barely costs anything to play. Just buy a soccer ball and just look for an open space somewhere to kick a ball around. Yeah, and again, unlike basketball or football, where you do speaking of open spaces, unlike basketball or football, where you do need a pretty big you do need an open space to play soccer, don't get me wrong, but you're not really confined to, the standards that, a basketball court would be, or even a football field. I mean, yeah, 100 yards is pretty big, but, it's kind of hard to find a patch of land that's like 100 yards, going both ways and however long it is going wide, Again, man, soccer's played in fields, it's played in concrete, it's played, on dirt. I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could probably get like a field, like a stream of really shallow water and play in that, if you were so inclined to do so. Again, there's a reason why soccer is number one sport in the world, so yeah, I imagine the World Cup is going to be pretty big. But speaking of big, let's talk about Tim Howard on Hot Ones. Actually, you know what? Literally the first question was about soccer. What's it like? Because evidently this U.S. men's national team is referred to as the Golden Generation. And, Sean asks Tim Howard, what are your thoughts on that? And, I mean, listen, actually Tim Howard said perfectly, there's a lot of pressure about being called the Golden Generation. I mean, that's like, any of the big basketball teams that went to the Olympics, the Dream Team, the Redeem Team, actually, what was the last basketball team called that won? But yeah, that team, there's a lot to live up to. You gotta live up to the hype, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And I think that's ultimately, as Americans, there's an emphasis on wanting to be the best and wanting to win. And unfortunately, it's been a really long time since we've had like that era where soccer really was like huge. And that's not to say it isn't huge, but like we've never really had a team to say like, we're the best. The odds would normally be against us, but we got those guys, we can win. So there is a lot of pressure. He also said that on this U.S. men's team, Tim Howard said you should probably manage Tyler Adams and Chris Richards. He talked about when the time he was told he was going into the Hall of Fame, on camera in front of everybody, which came to a surprise, but I mean, yeah, that's actually a great way to do it. He talked about how much the game has changed from his playing days. He talked about, as a goalkeeper, there's a lot going on when penalty shootouts happen. Like, he's the one giving the intimidation tactics for the player. He's the one predicting what the player's going to do before they do it so he can make the save. That's actually something I've never considered. Like, because we see soccer, we see, people kicking the ball around. But to those who are in the know, there's much more to it than that. Because in the same way that every baseball pitch is a different situation, every soccer kick is a different situation. Because you don't know what's going to happen. He talked about the first time he played for Emerton. He talked about what's like for people to have like their own chant for you. He talked about like what makes for a good goalkeeper. Usually they're like pretty tall and they're very well aware of what's going on. He talked about what moment was his crowning achievement, which was the Belgian game. And then they followed up right after with what a locker room is like after a really big loss. Which, I mean, listen, I could have answered that for you. Quiet. After a big loss, no one wants to say anything. Like, you just feel like garbage. Like, you never even want to, no one talked to me for, if anyone's ever said no one talked to me for 24 hours, that's pretty much what it's like in a locker room after a big loss. Believe me, I know. They talked, now we get to the bomb. And Sean asked Tim Howard some superlatives, like who's the most likely to be late for the bus because they're getting ready, or who's most likely to, have a crazy style, stuff like that. That was interesting. They talked about the situations where goalkeepers actually score a goal on the other team. I mean, there's kind of a etiquette about that. And for the last dab, they made predictions for the upcoming. Yeah, that's, again, throughout this video, they just refer to it as the big upcoming tournament. I mean, listen, this was a great episode overall, but come on, Sean. You could have at least explained what the tournament was for those who didn't know. Because I really didn't. I mean, listen, unfortunately, how do I put this? It's easy to pay attention to when the Olympics are going to be because they're every 4 years. And if the year number is divisible by 4, there you go. It's a little, even though the World Cup happens a year sooner, it's every 3 years, it's kind of hard to pay attention to what year number is divisible by 3. Actually, hold on, let me do some math in my head. So, 6. Yeah, it doesn't add up evenly. I have no idea. See, again, like, if the year number was divisible by 3, it'd be a little easier to track when the World Cup when the World Cup is gonna happen. Like, let me. All right, I did it in my head. Let's see if it really works on it without the calculator app, which. Okay, 26 divided by 3. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't go up evenly. That's weird. Again, the World Cup, you would think that the World Cup would be a little easier to keep track of when it's happening because it happens sooner than the Olympics does. But it's kind of not. Again, I had no idea the World Cup was happening this year until literally as I was recording this video, that's when I learned that the World Cup was going to be. That's how hard it is to remember. I mean, listen, I'm sure there's diehard soccer fans or football fans, if you're not in America, all over the world who pay attention to this stuff. And you know what? You're better people than me for it. And you know what? Maybe this year I'll do a little better about paying attention to the World Cup. And who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised. Actually, that does remind me. I just said for the last stab Thermageddon, Sean asked Tim Howard what his prediction was going to be. Tim Howard thinks that Spain is going to be the team that wins it all. So, if Spain winds up winning, you know what? I'm going to remember this video. I'm going to remember what Tim Howard said. And if I was Tim Howard in that situation, I would totally pat myself on the back, being like, I made a prediction like that after eating the hottest wings on the planet. I deserve some kind of reward. Well, I mean, listen, Tim Howard, you're in the Hall of Fame. You know, arguably the greatest goalkeeper ever. Which is funny because when he was a little kid, he didn't want to play a goalkeeper. And, I mean, he's in the Soccer Hall of Fame for a reason. And he's a pretty good announcer, too. So, I'll be looking. I mean, I'm sure Tim Howard's going to be having some input for announcing for the World Cup. And you know what? That's just another reason to watch. So, yeah. Even though technically this isn't the first episode of Season 30 of Hot Ones, I'm calling it the first episode of Season 30 of Hot Ones. Oh, shoot! I never reacted to who this week's guest is actually going to be. So, Tim Howard would be the 14th First Week Feast Hot Ones guest of 2026. So, today would be number 15. So, the 15th First Week Feast Hot Ones guest of 2026 is Colin Jost. Really? That is interesting. If you don't know who Colin Jost is, he is the co-anchor of SNL's weekly update on Saturday Night Live. Of course, okay. Backlash over controversial Michael Jackson quote and also surprised the cast with a bold new look on air. Huh. You know, I was going to make a joke saying that Colin Jost achieved what literally every boy in the 90s and 2000s wanted, dreamed of, which is marry Scarlett Johansson, but hey, this is an even better take. So yeah, Colin Jost on Hot Ones. There you go. That's all I got. Hope you all like this video. If you like this, right, YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm very helping this video for all of you guys who watch the show. For now, hope you have a wonderful, I forgot the day of the week, Tuesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk, change, or hit a letting always back, take care, and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.